Oh, button pushing.
Oh boy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cubist. My name is Bill Corey. I am the Cubist. And tonight it's episode 69, dude. We won't get demonetized for that, right? Like we can make
Oh my.
whatever. Brandon Kemp is here. Our mature co-host is here. Hi, Brandon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Bill?
I'm well, sir. And we have Ryn Grant from, let's see, normally I would say from the castle in Beverly.
I'm still from the castle.
Okay, so we'll go with that. We have Ryn here. Hi, Ryn. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Yay. I am excited to be here tonight. This is going to be a lot of fun. First off, Ryn has been on the show before. I failed to do my homework and see what episode, but she was here with Kathleen talking about board game cafes.
That was before Kathleen had opened.
Yes, before House Rules ever opened. I just got my dice from her a little while ago, actually. Yeah. And so we talked about that, but now Ryn has a new venture on the way called Levels. So tonight we're going to revisit the topic from the previous episode, and we're going to talk more about the restaurant side of things a little bit, because Levels is going to be more of a restaurant than just a cafe, right?
Yes, bigger and better and more.
Yep. So that brings a whole bunch into it, and it's going to have video games. So there's a lot. We're tacking on a lot more dimensions to the basic premise of this, I think. Yeah. So I think this will be an interesting sort of follow-up episode. Plus, it's episode 69, so we can be stupid at our leisure and engage our own middle school sophomoric sense of humor. But first, before we do all of that, let's start with our usual first segment, what we've been playing lately. I'm going to make Brandon go first because Brandon hasn't been on the show in forever, and I feel like we haven't talked in a coon's age. So,
I'm not going to talk about a game.
You have to now because we're going to just pause the show. Plus, I need time to drink my scotch. Go.
There you go. We've been playing just like a lot of lighter kind of family games here recently. We went to a convention in Springfield, Missouri, the first ever, like it was called Moon City Con. And we just played a bunch of light games. But overall, most of the week we've been playing the lovely and fun Karuba Das Kartenspiel as it is on BGG, but it's just the card game as it is here in the States. If you know Karuba, you're trying to build paths with your adventurers to get to the pyramids of the matching color, right? Bill doesn't know that because Bill's never played it.
Bill has never played Karuba, so
Bill hates fun.
I haven't played it either.
Aha! See?
Well, in Karuba, the regular game, it's like a bingo type of thing where one person is going to call out a tile and then everybody builds the same tile on their map. But they're trying to build different paths and everything like that to get to this. With Karuba, the card game, I keep wanting to call it the Kartenspiel, but that would be incorrect. You have a hand of 16 cards, like so. And just for you, Bill, out of focus.
Good. At least you're consistent. That's exciting.
It's played over 8 rounds. Each round, you're going to have 3 cards. And those cards, you can see, are different. They have paths. They have little jewels and things on them. And some will have adventurers, and some will have the temples, like at the matching colors. So where this differs in this with the original tile game, you have the adventurers along the outside of your grid and the pyramids on the outside of your grid. This, you're going to build your pyramids and your adventurers inside your grid of 4x4. So you have a hand of 3 cards. You pick 2 cards you want to play. Whoever has the lowest sum loses a card. Automatically just discards out there, and then you build. And when you build, you, of course, have to match up sides. You don't have to match up paths or anything like that. But ultimately, your goal is to build a path for each explorer to get to the pyramid of their color. The trick with this is they cannot cross paths. You cannot travel. One explorer cannot pass through another explorer to get to their pyramid of color. Yeah, pyramids. They can't. Right. They can't pass through other ones. So it's a little tricky in that, and it's 4x4, but it plays like in 10-15 minutes. It's a fantastic. It's like the card game that I own that I actually really enjoyed so far. So,
okay, so it's the only card game. You mean the only card game version of a board game?
Yeah, the card game. kind of version of a game that I actually enjoy. That has a bigger game. And Karuba's not a long game at all. It's only like 30 minutes tops if you're playing it with 4 people, and because everything's simultaneous and you're just running through it anyway. So
gotcha.
But this is super quick and super fun and super light, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it get a mention in May.
Really? Okay.
Yep. At least a mention.
Yeah, I mean, it comes up as a 1.0
Yep.
on BGG, so it's super
It's light.
super light.
It's
Okay,
light.
so let's start with. I mean, you hinted at this before that it's the card game version of a board game that you really like that you've played so far.
Yes. I do not like Castles of Burgundy, the card game, because that's just a big sprawling mess. And that may be the card game that I've ever played. Because I tend to like the bigger brothers.
Yeah.
And I tend to prefer boards and things like that. But I've enjoyed them.
Okay. But you like this one. Okay. Does it feel like the original?
It feels like Karuba, yeah. In a condensed kind of quicker playing version. Yeah.
Okay. So it captures the feel, but is faster and lighter.
It is.
Okay.
Yep. It is more family. And Karuba is a Haba game. It was one of those that they did in their strategy family line, with what is it, Adventureland, and I'm looking back there because I have all three there, and Spookies. So they were supposed to be, a little more advanced than the regular Haba games. This is more in line with like kind of the family lighter weight stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm interacting with the chat room a little bit here. Okay. Where do you, on the Cubist scale, where do you rate Karuba itself first before we talk about
it's a definite play it. I mean,
play it. Okay.
Yeah. I bought it, but I buy things. That's what I do.
Right. That is sort of your thing. No. He's not
that's
wrong.
Kind of my thing.
That
I
is his
things.
thing. He's the Captain Buys a Lot of his group.
Yeah. And so it's definitely a play it, and if you have kids and things like that, it's probably good. Karuba the card game, I see no reason why not to spend $15 on it and buy it. I mean, it's literally, you could throw it in your quiver. It's 16 cards times 6 and a piece of cardboard.
Okay.
So, and it's plays up to 6 people for really quick.
Gotcha.
And plus, if you like those games where you're building your map and you're building stuff like that, it works perfectly. Plus, if you like being frustrated.
Okay. Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's irritating at times.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's got a little bit of, it's the frustration because you can't cross the path.
Yeah, because you can't cross the paths, and then you play something that you think, oh, I'm going to have the highest total here, and lo and behold, you're the lowest, so you lose one of them. And so sometimes there's also those hard, those decisions where you got to decide, because you could lose one of those pyramid cards or one of your explorer cards too. So
okay,
yep.
But it's a buy it because it's cheap, huh?
It's buy it because it's cheap and it's fun.
And it's fun.
And damn it, it's Haba.
Do you have that level of brand loyalty, or?
Yeah, I do generally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it fun because you have kids, or is it fun because you're a gamer?
It's fun because I'm a gamer, and it's also fun because I have kids, because the kids can join us and play and be competitive with it.
Sure. I didn't mean to indicate that those were separate issues. You know what? Quiet down. You're getting lippy tonight. This is what happens when we give you a month off of doing the show, is you come back and you're all a smart ass.
Yep, so. That's me, though.
All right. Karuba the card game is a buy it.
It's a buy it for me. I think you'll be surprised.
Perfect. Okay. Ryn, how about you? Ryn, did you actually get to play some games?
Yeah, so recently another board game cafe opened near us. Well, sort of near us. It's like an hour away, but that's, close enough for us. Our friend Keating opened a board game cafe up in Manchester, New Hampshire. Is it Boards and Brews? Yeah, it's
That's
Boards
what
and
you
Brews.
said
As
in
opposed
the
to like
pre-show.
the Board and Brew. It gets confusing. Boards and Brews. So we went to his backer party opening. And I was like, while we're here, we should actually play a game, because we don't have a lot of time to do that usually. So we grabbed Santorini because I hadn't played it yet, and I've seen it a lot.
Yes.
Maybe partially because it's pretty recognizable.
Yeah, it is very visually striking. Like, it's pretty hard to miss this one when it's on the table.
Yeah, and we also needed something kind of quick, because it was like good for Keating. It was extremely crowded, so this is not going to be a long play game night of sort of find your little space on a table. And so I almost really liked it, except I wasn't good at it, and it made me mad. But it's a pretty simple little game. You're building your towers, and you can either, kind of build up, and you have 2 little characters, and basically whoever gets their little character to the top of the story, 3rd floor, I think, first wins. and I did not have good strategy. We played it like 3 times, and Kevin kicked my butt every time. And I felt like I should be good at it. That's what was so infuriating. I was like, no, I got it now. Let's try again. And I was not. But I did like it. It was simple to learn. I could definitely play it with my kids, which, well, not the small one. I can't do anything with him, but.
Yeah, Santorini is okay. So we've talked about it on the show, but not for a while. So to refresh, it's basically you get to put down one section of a tower, either a base, middle, or top, or a cap, right? Like there's actually
you can cap it so that no one else can put their character up on the top.
And then you can walk, right? Like you get to do both, or you get to do one.
I think it's both. I think you move a character and you build one.
Does that sound right, Brandon?
You have to be building within reach of your character.
Yeah, within a space around your character. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And then your character can walk onto the thing you just built or something like that?
Yeah.
There, Thomas. It's move, then build. Yeah.
Okay. Move, then build. Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's been forever since I played it, and there's a reason for that, and we'll come back to that in a hot second. So, okay, so you played it, you liked it, but sucked at it, and then got frustrated.
Yeah. Because it was so simple. So I was like, I should be good at this, but I was really, it wasn't.
And you were really not. Gotcha. So having understood that it was frustrating for you, and that you apparently are terrible at it and will not be joining the Santorini World Championship Tour anytime soon,
which is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Dreams have been crushed.
There is tons of money to be made in that tournament.
I hear good things.
Yeah,
I hear good things. All right, so on that note, for you, is Santorini a buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it?
I would buy it for the cafe because I think other people would like it, but I personally can forget it.
Okay.
I know.
No, you know what?
Fine.
Ryn, you and I are right there. We are simpatico. I feel the exact same way. Like when you were describing your reaction to the game, that is exactly how I felt when Mr. Brandon Kemp taught me the game.
Yeah.
It's Brandon's fault that I played it at all. I played it when I stopped and visited you on the way back from BGG 2 years ago, I want to say. Yeah, I think it was 2 BGGs ago. Yeah. And I stopped and visited you. Yep. And we played it then, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is the game everybody likes." What? And I just didn't. Oh, you know what? He couldn't stay away because it's episode 69. Mr. Patrick Hillier is here. Hi, Patrick.
There goes the neighborhood.
There goes the neighborhood. Luckily, the camera is focused neck up, so even if things do get crazy, we'll be all right. How are you, Patrick?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Patrick's on a business trip that has gone somewhat sideways from what it sounded like earlier today. So,
just today, I had a great time in New Hampshire. I did not get a chance to go visit Ryn's Cafe though.
Oh, you didn't go to the castle?
No.
That makes me sad. We tried, Ryn. Yes, terrible. You're a ruiner. You're a ruiner. All right. Well, you got to do a bunch of gaming. I'll give up my spot. Patrick, if you have a specific game that you want to talk about, since you just jumped in.
So does
I don't even.
Did you pull a Patrick again?
That one.
What?
He sent me that one.
What is pulling a Patrick?
Leaving the YouTube page up again. Sorry, there was just weird
No.
noise.
I was just trying to think about what exciting thing I played.
Well, I tell you what. You think?
Oh, we played Chicken Caesar. I finally played Chicken Caesar. So, Ryan over at Cardboard Republic has been talking about this game on his show for like 3 years now, and we've been trying to get together to play it at various occasions, and we finally got around to playing it. So Chicken Caesar is kind of a negotiation game where you have your chickens rising through the ranks to become Caesar. But of course, you're going to get killed at some point because Caesars always get killed in your negotiation by offering corn to the other praetors to not kill your chicken. being episode. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a pun that somebody said. I bet you we can make a whole game out of this.
Being episode 69, might as well say that there was choking chicken jokes. Talked
of course
about
there were.
Kimberly and that gang.
Sure.
So. Anyway, it's a silly game. It's I forget who did it.
It is Nevermore Games.
Nevermore Games. Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of out of print, hard to come by, but Ryan's been trying to get him, talk him into reprinting it.
See now, The impression that I got from Chicken Caesar is that it is a silly theme pasted onto a not all that silly game.
Yes, actually, Matt, I don't know if he's in the chat because I can't have the chat up right now.
That's fine.
Said that it's very similar to what comes across as a serious game is John Company that just came out.
Okay.
Kind of
I love that Chicken Caesar and John Company are being talked about in the same sentence. That makes
right. Well, just sort of the structure of moving
Sure.
your people up through this sort of ranks. You know, you assign people ranks and you're kind of moving them up through a structure.
So I mean, if anything, it could make
Gotcha.
it a bit bigger, but like I don't want to.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right. On the Cubist scale, buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it.
Definitely play it.
Play it. Okay. Yeah. Right now, it is on Amazon for $297.48. So,
Wowzers. Yeah.
yes. I mean, who has any idea if that's like a legit price or if that's just something stupid? It was also sold on the geek market for 30 euros. So, I mean, they're all, you know, who the hell knows? Those links, I feel like, are less and less useful every time I look at them. But there's an idea. Yeah, I've always been curious about this, but honestly, the idea that this is an entire game based around a pun both simultaneously repulses me and makes me completely understand why you played it.
You know it.
So, right, this is a you game for sure. Very good.
Okay, so I'll just leave this.
All right, real fast, I'm going to talk about a game that's going to piss Patrick off because it's a social deduction game called Syshack. This is a game that I backed on Kickstarter that fulfilled about a week ago. It is a retro computer hacker themed social deduction game. So the idea is that half of the players in the game are hackers,
Okay,
half are conglomerate, and the hackers are trying to reveal data cards that look like this in the Kickstarter version anyway. Yeah,
and they will save icon.
It is, yeah, it's like a save icon. Super weird. They're trying to save these, or trying to reveal 2 top secret data cards before the conglomerate reveal 2 allegiance cards. So this is a game similar to like your Resistance Avalon is the game that the other players at the table brought up consistently. Whereas, you know, one person is sort of the leader each turn, and they get to pick another player that activates and does whatever their ability is. So the person that is the leader gets some information, and the person that is getting activated by them gets information. So 2 people at the table get information every round of the game, and there's a whole bunch of card play. You know, so there's a whole round of basically this weird like take that card play that can be involved. It's really interesting. The rest of the table, well, first off, one guy at the table is enraptured by the idea of 80s computer themed everything. So he was just instantly biased towards this game and decided he was going to love it no matter what. Everybody else at the table liked it and said we were only able to play it at 5 players, which is not an ideal player count. We all thought it would be better at more. But everybody enjoyed it, and most of the players at the table said that they liked it better than Resistance Avalon. Like that it scratched the same itch, but they enjoyed it more because they got more information. So that was sort of how it played out there. On the Cubist scale, I am going to say that if you like social deduction games, and if this becomes available, because right now there is no information that I have been able to find about a retail outlet for this. This is only people that backed it on Kickstarter so far. But assuming that you don't end up having to pay crazy aftermarket prices, I think if you like social deduction, this is a buy. I think Patrick should steer as clear from this as humanly possible because it will just fill him with Patrick rage because he hates social deduction games because he's terrible at them. But everybody else that enjoys fun, I think you should definitely take a shot at it. So
enjoys fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Are you trying to muffle out the background noise? Is that what that is, Patrick?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that we can hear it. It's all good. It is all good. But all right, let's get into speaking of talking in public places where there might be. Let's see, segue.
That is
I said my segues were going to be terrible. I warned everybody in the pre-show. I stand by what I said. Let's get into our main topic, which is opening new doors. Was the title of the show.
So like,
Ryn,
I kept him here for like a long
last week when we did the show, we freely admitted that it was going to feel like a shill because we were talking about a specific game that had just filled. This time it's going to be a bit of a blatant chill, but a lot of more. I'm really curious about what would inspire somebody to do what you're trying to do.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, exactly. So Ryn, let's start there. What are you trying to do? Let's start with what actually you are doing, and then we can lead into why we're talking about it.
So currently we have a board game cafe that's been open for 2.5 years called The Castle. That's in
Patrick refused to go to.
Patrick
Philistine
had so many opportunities, and he just wrote mean things about us and
terrible
punched Kimberly and
well, I would. I mean, we all do that.
That's fair. And now we were originally looking at opening another board game cafe because we were doing well, and why not? And we really like running
not sleeping and not playing games.
We hate sleep and spare time and time to play games. So we were scoping out another town, and in that town they had this video game bar, and we're like, oh, are these gonna like compete for all our like nerds that we need? And so we went in to like check it out, see if they'd be competition, and instead ended up talking to the guys and being like, why don't we just open something new together? And so now we're opening Levels, which will be board games and video games at the North Shore Mall in Peabody, Massachusetts.
Oh, very cool. So first off, I'm just going to pick on you a little bit because it's fine. Peabody.
Yeah.
It's not Peabody.
Yeah.
Only dummies that don't live there would call it Peabody.
Yeah, it's not like Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Okay.
It's Peabody.
Okay, gotcha. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, a lot of Massachusetts towns have interesting pronunciations.
Sure.
So we'll know if you're from away.
Yeah, that's it's all a secret trick to find the out of towners. Gotcha.
Can I say though, and I'm taking away from my own time, which is bad, but I should have talked about Fireball Island because they came to the castle and I played that. People were talking about in the chat, and I was like, "Oh, I played that. It's good." That's all I'll say.
It was good.
The new Fireball Island, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's actually, I think Patrick played Fireball Island too, didn't he? Patrick, can you hear us? I know that you're muted, but
yeah. Can
you hear? Yes, he did. Okay, good. There you go. Good enough.
Anyway, so we're in the middle of crowdfunding, but we'll be open. I keep saying the end of the year, and my husband keeps saying the end of the summer. So we'll see, hopefully somewhere in between there.
Gotcha. Yeah, the chat. Tom in the chat is pointing out that I say New Berlin, not New Berlin, which is exactly right. Yep, you're right. Okay, so Levels is being funded right now on Indiegogo, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and I thought I put a link up. Chat room, tell me if I have a link in the description now or not. I do? Okay, good. I thought I did. Yeah. So you can check out the campaign for yourself. I will tell you to wait until after the show is over to check it out because the intro video is really funny. Like I messaged Ryn, pointed out that I really enjoyed. Like I very rarely like those videos.
Yeah,
very rarely because normally they annoy me. It's some overly dramatic reading and. We
did an Indiegogo for the castle as well before we opened, and so I've watched so many of those little kind of teaser videos, and there's some really bad ones, and I don't want to do that.
Yes.
It's so important to tell people what you're doing and make them excited about it and have them kind of get on board.
It is.
Exactly. So, all right. So Levels, you already run a successful board game cafe.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And your video is frozen with you having an awesome look on your face. So,
good. That's important.
Yeah, there you go. As long as you like that. Yeah. So you already run a successful gaming cafe. Now you're going to get into the restaurant and lounge side of things, right? So Levels is going to be a full dining.
Seems like we weren't doing enough.
Sure. Why? Like, why would you want to tackle all of that as well?
Part of it's so originally we weren't looking to go as big, and then the mall came to us, which was really weird.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the mall, and this is like the nice mall. This isn't like there are two malls nearby, and one is sad and dying, living only by Target and the movie theater, and inside it's just like stores that sell like cell phone cases and like Claire's that's like And then there's like the nice mall that actually has stores in it and people. And they came to us and they were like, "Hey, we want you to bring the castle to the mall." And we were like, "Are you sure? Do you know what you're asking? We don't have any money." And we're like, "What if we do this other thing instead? Because we don't want to put ourselves out of business." So we had originally been looking to do something a little smaller, I feel like, and then we kind of thought, well, why not?
Smaller than Levels, you mean?
Smaller than Levels. So Levels is about 7,000 square feet. It's 2 levels. The name has many meanings. It's got this like 60-foot bar, and
the bar is really slick looking.
Yeah, it's a crazy huge space, and we're really excited about it. But basically, we found through board gaming that we've just built this really amazing community. Like, it's a place where people can go and hang out and stay all day, and it's fine, and we're friendly. And then we found the Gamepad, which is the video game bar we're partnering with, actually formed the same community, just kind of using a different means. And
see, that's interesting. One of the things that one of the questions that I had prepped is that I didn't know if the community really is the same. And from your experience, it is?
It is. I can see there's some slightly different people, but there's a ton of overlap. And they really focus on like couch co-ops. So it's not like they're still trying to get people to play together. And we have people ask us all the time if we're going to get video games. And the castle doesn't even have TVs. Like, we're very much like, we want people off their screens. Like, it's very an unplugged kind of feel. But people, like our customers, definitely have requested it. So I think it's going to go really well.
Okay. So you already have tabletop nerds that are asking for this anyways. You've already got a built-in
and we're
need.
trying to be pretty aware of, like, some people are going to want quieter spaces. And also just, it's going to be different than the castle. We probably won't get as many heavy gamers. We have a group that comes in the castle every Thursday who normally bring their own games, and they're all like heavy Euro games I've never even heard of, that like have been out of print for 20 years, and they all have to watch the video before they can come in and play it. Like, there's very strict rules to this group. But I feel like we're going to be more the crowd who wants to play dexterity games and fun party games and, you know, things like Haru, but little lighter games, and even like Catan, which is lighter comparatively speaking to these kind of things. Then we're going to get together, grab a beer, and play, where you can have some of that background noise.
So what you're saying is that when I organize the first ever East Coast XX Con and I bring an 18XX game and decide that I'm taking up a table for 12 hours, you're going to look at me like I have lobsters coming out of my ears.
I mean, I'd look at you like that anyway. So
that's fair. That's fair. All right. So you answered one of my other questions here along the way here, which is that if you felt like there was a specific niche that you were angling towards, and it's going to be lighter / more casual gaming, it sounds like, is what you're sort of.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the crowd we're drawing. It's really, so even with the castle, so we have that one group on Thursdays, but for the most part, we're not drawing heavy gamers, and we're not trying to draw heavy gamers. Like, games is what we use and games is what we love, but really it's about getting people to hang out together and to interact together and, you know, give them something to do.
Sure.
So I think it's going to be a similar kind of crowd.
Okay. Do you, has your experience been that, okay, actually, you know what? Patrick asked a question before, or actually made an observation a second ago in the chat about how most cafes that he's been to are too loud. I actually made a point of going to the castle when I was in the area. Like, I expended effort to go visit, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, unlike other people.
Yeah, unlike other people who show.
Might not have done that.
Poor Patrick.
Whatever, dude. If I can be passive aggressive like everybody else. Damn it.
There you
go. Patrick's just going to give.
Hey,
I'm going to be number one.
Wait a minute. Kimberly told me it was too far out of my way.
Oh, Kimberly betrayed me.
And that Ryn wouldn't be there.
I might have been.
Oh, that's fair. She wasn't there when I went either, so
that's why I didn't go.
That's fine. That's all right. We're still going to give you crap. All right.
Well,
so
you give me crap every week. So it's a day ending in Y.
I know your life is hard. So what I will say is that I was there at what I suspect was not a peak time. I was there when the place had kind of first opened, I want to say, on a weekday. So I'm sure that I didn't get a sampling, but I also like an accurate vibe for how it is at its peak. But it certainly wasn't set up in such a way that I would expect it to get super loud either. It was divvied in 2 rooms. The one room had, smaller high top tables, and then the other room had a couple or more lower tables, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, so there's the bar side that has some high tops and that has a huge 10-person table in there, and then there's the dining room that's got another 15 or 16 tables.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it would be particular. I mean, any room can get loud with the wrong people, but it didn't feel like it was set up for that. Is that a thing? Actually, noise is a really good question here, especially with involving video games. Do you anticipate that being an issue?
Not too much. I mean, we just did a pop-up at the Gamepad, the video game bar we're partnering with, where I brought a bunch of board games over there. And, we had people playing Avalon and people playing, what were they playing? They're playing all sorts of, pretty simple, but, games where you do actually have to hear each other.
Sure.
And there were no issues. And even at the castle, the majority of the time, there's not a problem. Every once in a while, usually when we have a group of teenage boys playing Avalon and all just screaming at each other, or some of the party games get loud, but for the most part, it's not as much of it. The people it's going to be an issue for are the people who need it to be quiet and who our space is never going to work for, and who just need to play in their homes, and that's totally fine. We know that we're not going to be for everybody.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, no space is right. Like there is no such. You can't please everybody all the time.
Exactly.
That's a thing for sure. Okay, so let me ask you this. You have a successful business.
I do.
It's clearly paying the rent, or else you wouldn't have a living room to sit in right now or whatever. You're doing okay. Why? Like, why do you want to do this to yourself, right? Like
Because we can.
Because we can.
Why not? Because if we don't, someone else will.
Okay. So there's a demand, and you already know that this is a wheelhouse that you have. So, okay, I guess I wasn't just saying that as like a picking on you. Like, no.
I mean, I question it too.
It just feels like keeping one business running efficiently and then opening a second one that is not the same business.
Yeah.
Like it's related, obviously, but it's different. There are going to be clear differences between the two, I assume.
Yes, yeah, they're going to be pretty different because so the castle right now does we do burgers now, but then it's just sandwiches. We have gelato and cookies. We do popcorn, which is a huge thing we do. But it's pretty simple fare, whereas Levels has brick oven pizza, and it's going to have a full kitchen with a fry-later, and we have so we do beer, wine, and cordials at the castle, but we'll have a full liquor license at Levels, so it's kind of just taking everything up a notch. But one of the guys who we're partnering with already pretty much are helping run a real restaurant. The Gamepad is essentially in the attic of this restaurant that one of them is an operations manager for, that has worked there for 10 years. So they really know that side of the business. Okay.
So you're not having to reinvent the wheel and learn things from scratch yourselves.
We're making them do it.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, and I mean, and don't sell yourself short though, too, either, right? Like you're bringing the tabletop half of things.
Yeah, we bring the board games. I'm pretty good generally with marketing and making connections with people and kind of getting other people on board to the idea. So we all kind of bring something different. So I definitely think for this space, it would have to be this team. I don't think Kevin and I could have just done it, but I think we are equipped. Hopefully, it'll be a big learning curve because what we're doing hasn't really been done, or at least not around here. So there's not a whole lot we can look to. But it'll be the same as with the castle. We had a lot where we had to kind of go, oh, we thought that was the way to do it. Turns out it's definitely not. Now we're going to do it this way, and just kind of adjust.
So there's going to be some level of trial and error because every business has it, right? Like no matter how much, as a small business owner myself, I can speak to that. Like no matter how good you think you are at the job, until you are actually the guy running the whole show, you don't really know all the stuff that's involved, right? Like there's just until you're the one that's ultimately on the hook at the end of the day, you don't really understand all the bells and whistles that go into it. So that makes perfect sense. Okay. I have a specific question and I'm trying really hard to figure out a good way to ask it that doesn't sound like I'm being a douche.
Just do it.
All right. So how important, like, okay, anybody can say that they are a cafe, but not every cafe is going to serve coffee that anybody wants to buy. Anybody can say they're a restaurant, but not everybody is going to make food that is actually worth paying for.
Right.
When you go to a place, especially in a mall where we know that the overhead's going to be significantly higher than it might be in a different setting, right? Because malls tend to be kind of pricey places, or at least that's my impression from what knowledge I have in the past or whatever. There's going to come a certain expectation. How important, like, where does that fall on the curve for you as far as the quality of the not games?
Yeah. So we definitely want to be a place where people would go to eat even if they don't want to play games. We don't ever want that to be our full thing. I don't ever want it to be like, suddenly no one here is gaming because our food's so good. Like, that's the goal isn't to become a full restaurant, but like being in a mall, and even just from what we've seen. So the Castle is open 11 to 11 every single day. Mm-hmm. But during the week, there's usually only 2 or 3 tables in until like 5 or 6 at night. So we being in the mall, if we can have really good food, people who are working there or people walking through will come for lunch, and they may not be up to game, but they can help the business by just coming in for food, but they're not going to do that if the food's not good. So we really want to have a really strong menu of like fun but accessible foods, because like gamers generally don't want anything super weird. So it'll kind of be like the Americana pub food of burgers and nachos and pizza, and but we'll do some fun twists and things. The Jeremy, who's one of the gamepad guys, is a really good cook and has done menu creation before and things. So I'm excited because I'm kind of tired of eating. I've been eating the same food at the Castle for the past 2.5 years, and it's good. It's good, but like I can't do paninis anymore. Like I just
life is hard. Ryn.
It is.
I'm burned out on paninis. Sorry. All right. So it is a priority though. Like, I mean,
it definitely is. It's not like, oh, and then we'll throw, because one of the things people say about the Castle, people who've been to a good amount of board game cafes, is that our food is really good for a board game cafe. And I think our food is decent, but I feel like a lot of places aren't really trying. Like I am always surprised by that, because like we do our best, but Kevin and I don't have a restaurant background at all. So we're constantly making improvements. But when people are like, your food is so good here, I'm like, what are these other? So I think a lot of people don't even try to make it a priority. They just are sort of like, we're a board game cafe because that's the business model, so we have to have food now. Yeah. But we really want people to enjoy the food and want to come back for the food, and that to be an extra plus for them.
Yeah, I think that makes, I mean, I've only been to a couple places that meet the criteria of being a board game restaurant or lounge. I actually recently went to, I think it's 42 Ale House is the name of the place. Ben helped me out. Ben is in the chat, and he's the guy that took me there in the first place. Or no, actually he didn't. I lied. My friend Jessica did. But I think I went to 42 Ale House, which is the same kind of thing, like an Americana themed place that had board games and video games in it. And I liked it a lot, and the food was very good, but it didn't feel like a board game place unless you looked around, right? Like it didn't feel like that was the thing until you looked at the menu and everything had, nerd names. But other than that, it didn't feel like a board game place. Whereas the Castle, where I have been, very much is like, here are games. Here are a whole bunch of games. Please come play a game, Yeah. And the focus was very different, or at least I felt like it was. So which way is this going to lean of those two that I talked about, if you had to guess?
Hopefully somewhere in the middle, because what we're doing and what we've been doing more at the Castle probably since you've been there is we've been getting much more full service. So much more having a waitress come over and say, would you like anything to eat? Can I get you something? Which is A, nice, because if you're gaming, you don't want to get up. And B, if we have people sitting at a table for 6 hours and they don't buy anything, the business is going to close.
Sure.
So you do want to have good things that people actually want to purchase. So the idea is that you come in and you game and you eat. And it's not going to be a requirement. So definitely there will be some people who just come in and game. But then hopefully there will be some people to balance that out who just come in and eat.
Okay. Yeah. And so that's actually a really great question. So most restaurants depend on table turning, right? Like they depend on, okay, so if your restaurant's open from 11 to 10, you need to have this table needs to end up, seating 5 groups or 6 groups all night, or else you're losing money. How do you deal with that when in a setting where you hopefully have people sitting there for 2-3 hours playing games?
Yeah, that's the reason we do a $5 per person play fee.
Okay, so it's a cover charge basically.
It's basically for access to the library. Everybody pays $5 per person. You can stay as long as you want, play as many games as you want. It's the same thing we'll do at levels, and that generally we found pretty much balances it out.
Okay, and does that So I mean, do you have people that try to weasel their way around it? Because to me, $5 is super reasonable, right? Like, who cares?
It is.
But do you have people that are like, no, I brought my own games. I don't care about you.
Yeah, most people, surprisingly, I'll have people call and ask if they can bring in their own games. And I say, you can, but you still have to pay. It's more like a sitting fee. And most people are really okay with it.
Okay.
The people who give us a hard time, I don't need to come back anyway, because it's not like they're spending a lot. Like if they can't pay $5 to play games, they're not keeping my business.
They're probably not buying enough paninis to make their time worth.
Yeah, they're probably being rude to my servers. Like they're just not probably the number one people, or if they're not enjoying it and they don't feel like it's worth it, then they can spend their money somewhere that they feel like they do get that value. So, but yeah, we found, because then there are groups who come in and only stay for 45 minutes and do the normal turnover, but played a game. So we still get that $5. So then that kind of balances out the groups that stay for 6 hours and just order free refills of soda and popcorn. And
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So the chat's asking a couple of questions about this. First off, is the $5, is that a credit towards food, or is that just separate?
It's just flat $5 that we take, and it is all ours. But so one of the things we really had to battle when we opened is, instead of thinking I'm paying $5 to sit in a cafe, is compare it to going to the movies or going mini golfing or literally any other activity, and then it's dirt cheap. But it's really a mindset thing for a lot of people of like, but I'm in a restaurant and you're just charging me an extra $5. And it's like, well, you're playing our games, which cost a lot of money. You're sitting at our tables for much longer than a normal amount of time. And most people really appreciate that and think it's pretty reasonable.
And I'm just going to preemptively say this for all the people out there that think that they would rather just play games in their own dining room instead of paying the $5. Just remember, you don't have to clean up after the game night if you paid the $5, right? Like, no, I'm serious, right? Like gamers, it's a thing. It's a thing to think about. If you want to host, you have to prep the space. You have to clean after the space is done. So I have always thought that was perfectly reasonable, but it has been pointed out that it doesn't always work. It can be kind of regional. Patrick, go.
Also having access to a library. I mean,
the
place we went to had an amazing library. What's the classic old miniature Dungeons and Dragons one? Hero Quest.
Yeah.
I was like, I always want to play that. I'm like, that the fact that a game store a game cafe has that, or just other games. I forget the game we played, Trio or something. It was this fun little wooden block stacking games, like never even heard of it before. We pulled it out the shelf and just played it for fun, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is such an awesome game. It's like I want to go out and find it and buy it now.
Yeah. When you're aware of the price of games, it feels much more worth it.
Yes, when you think about it,
And that's a really good point. There is a discovery aspect that comes from when you just walk into a library that isn't curated by any of your friends, right?
Yeah.
That you can just discover brand new stuff. Okay. Netters in the chat asked if she said there's a new cafe opening in her city. They're offering waffles as their main food type, and she cringed because she can see syrup fingers all over all the games. She wants to know if there are any food types that you thought about that you're like, yeah, no, we're not serving that.
Yeah, so when we opened, we were very much like, oh, we won't do messy nachos. We won't do this. We've kind of...
You're totally doing nachos.
well, we have like loaded waffle fries, and like our popcorn is super greasy, but we're just coming up on 2.5 years, and it's just now that I'm finally going, some of these games should be replaced. So I think people think that there's going to be, generally people are very respectful and understand these are not their games. So I think people think there's going to be a lot more, when you're first opening a game cafe, everyone's like, oh, those spilled sodas. The only times that I am aware of sodas being spilled, I have done it. It has been me. And at least once it was on a game someone else brought in. So it wasn't even one of the cafe's games. So like generally the people who come in are pretty respectful, and we haven't had a whole lot of game food messes. And the ones that they are on are like the kids games that like people donate a copy of Life like once a week. So like it's fine if I have to throw out a game of Life because I have 5 more in the basement.
And also, just throwing out the game of Life isn't a bad hobby in and of itself, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with just No,
yeah, but I gotta be careful because Pirates of the Caribbean Life gets a ton of play, so I gotta watch out for that.
Sure.
Some games get like are just weirdly popular, and you don't know why.
I didn't know there was a Pirates of the Caribbean Life. Now I kind of see. I'm literally having that moment that Patrick was talking about 3 minutes ago. I would probably be like, sure. We will definitely play Pirates of the Caribbean Life because there's no way in hell I'm ever spending money on it, right? But hey, if I'm already sitting here, why not? Star Wars what? Star Wars Life? Is that a thing?
There's Star Wars Life. There's at least 2 versions of Star Wars Monopoly. Star Wars Life, you like become a Jedi.
Or you can get on the dark side.
Yeah, you can become a Sith. You can choose. You have to choose at the beginning of the game what path you're going to choose.
Okay, I would play that too. This is terrible. Stop telling me these things. I don't need to have any of this crap.
Go to a game cafe and you can play with just once.
For those of you watching at home, Ryn has been lobbying fairly heavily for me to move out to the East Coast for the last couple months now. So this is just all a secret plot. I get it.
Yeah, slowly. I'm just going to keep opening places until one
until everybody just moves away across the country until eventually she's opened a place close enough to where I am that I feel like it's worth it. There you go.
That's right.
But I got to say, this is really good for my ego. All right. Ben in the chat said, does the nature of your business limit your hours? There's a local bar called Binary, but they ended up limiting their hours because of lack of business. I have thoughts on this, but I want to hear from you first.
So we're 11 to 11 every day. We could probably do less. We our first year cut it down during the week to be 2 to 11 during the week on weekdays. But as we've gotten busier, it's kind of made sense to say open 11 to 11 every day. I mean, it took us 2.5 years. I feel like it took a while to get to that point. So like you have to really take the time to build up your business. And we do a lot of special events. So every Monday night is just trivia. We do stand-up comedy. So it's not always, sometimes it's like, no one's going to come to board game tonight. So we're going to do an improv comedy night. We do improv comedy and stand-up comedy a lot. Okay. On Tuesdays, because otherwise no one's coming out on a Tuesday night. Right. So you have to do a lot of working and promoting special events. We do game makers nights every few weeks, few months. I dropped them for a while. There's one coming up though, so it's happening again. On Wednesdays we have Illumat, which is a newer game. We do society meetings for that, things like that. So
gotcha. I just want to weigh in as somebody that works in, and I work in bars as part of my regular day-to-day, right, as a DJ. And I will tell you this, in general, my experience has always been the bars that try to close early all the time because they feel like they're not making money are the bars that end up killing their own crowd because the people don't know whether the place will be open.
Yeah.
In general, like when you start caving to that, like it sucks to not make the money, but if you don't keep the same hours and let people have a chance to get used to what it is that you should be doing, it never gets better. You end up just shooting your own income in the foot over time. Like on the short term, you might save a little bit of money, but in the long term, it feels like it doesn't pay off because you can't build that rhythm. And I don't know if that holds for what you have or not, but I've seen it in other entertainment venues in the past where really you just need to stay open whether the business is there or not and wait for it to build. And if it doesn't ever build, then the business shouldn't be open. Right. Like
that's probably the reason we do 11 to 11 because it's memorable. Like it's just every day we're 11 to 11. Like we could probably open at noon, but like people won't remember that as well, and it's just very simple and straightforward. And we do enough. We have mentorship programs come in during the day. Sometimes we get a lot of just like, so it's not always busy, but it's nice to be there for those people who just need a place. So.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to ignore all of the chat room is lobbying for all 3 directions that aren't north as far as where I should move at this point. But yeah, let's see. Interesting. Your pretty densely populated game stores only one charges to be there. Same one that's the only one that gives no discount to game purchases. Okay, so Tom in the chat is weighing in on the play charge thing and how it seems like only like some places do, some don't. I think that when it's a game store,
most game stores don't, but most game stores are suffering.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Like, I mean, they've all been feeling that pinch. That's
why board game cafes exist, really, is because game stores, a lot of them were really not all of them. There's a game store near us that's doing awesome, and we send people there all the time. But a lot of them seem to be struggling and are now like trying to shift over.
Sure, sure, and that makes perfect sense. All right, I think that I first off, one of the things that it's funny that everybody's making these jokes about me relocating, because one of the things that sucks about where I live is that I'm a 45-minute drive from anything that has any kind of a game night that isn't just Magic players crowded around a folding table in the center of the store, right? Like there isn't any place like that that isn't a long drive for me. So I love hearing about this stuff, even though I never get to go to any of them, right? I really just I want to experience. So that's a selling point, Ryn. You're already winning because I know that there's a place that
now there'll be two places, and Boards and Brews isn't that far, so we can go there sometimes.
There you go.
And I won't be working.
Oh, even better. See. So now let me ask you about the part that you are not directly the quote unquote expert on, which is the video game side of this. How much, there's got to be a lot of infrastructure that just goes into making this work for video games as well, right?
I mean, you have to buy like a lot of TVs and stuff. Yeah, we have to buy TVs. We've got to buy game systems. We really want to do, there's like Geek and Son has these really cool tables where the TV folds out. And they're like willing to work with us, but we've got to figure out how much, like opening a restaurant is enough work. But then, because we really want people to just be able to be at their table and be able to switch between, okay, I'm done playing Mario Kart, let's pull out a board game, without having to. There's other entertainment venues where you have to continuously wait for the thing you want to do, and we don't want people to be like, well, someone's at the Mario Kart station, I guess we'll do this thing we don't really want to do. So we want, like, where we sit you have access to like most games, and you can bring a board game over and you'll have access to most different video games. So that's something we're working really hard to do.
Gotcha. The logistics of a video game restaurant hurt my brain, right? Because like you have to have a TV, that's fine. And obviously, but where do you put it? Where do you store this stuff such that it doesn't end up covered in ketchup after 2 hours? I mean, this is what I mean about the logistics, not just the buying of stuff, but you have to design the place such that this makes sense and doesn't just end up being covered in nacho cheese after a week's use.
But like that could be a look too. Like maybe that's the aesthetic we want.
It's a selling point. There you go.
Yes.
Do you love nachos? How much?
Here,
I'd be like, we'll just give you a packet of Funyun dust and you can just cover yourself in it when you walk in. You'll feel like you were in your mom's basement all weekend. And this is a terrible idea. Well, maybe not terrible. I don't know. It's cheesy, that's for sure. That was Patrick's fault. I was just reading it out of the chat.
I should leave.
That's how I feel every week. He is our punisher. We have to let him.
You can't leave.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I can't. I'm actually not allowed. So, all right. So I guess how. So we made the joke in the pre-show about how you don't get to play games very often, and you were trying to think of something that you had played, because I never get to play games, and now you already don't get to play games because, I mean, you're not just running this cafe, you're also a mom, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have some children running around somewhere. Well, hopefully they're sleeping right now.
Well, that would
the
be
one
nice.
might start running around soon. He tends to wake up at least once a night.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said the one might be running around soon because he tends to wake up at least once a night.
Okay, gotcha.
Awesome.
Okay. So you already, there's all this time. What keeps the passion for the gaming side of this business venture alive if you don't get to actually do the gaming?
Because I feel like I'm going to get in trouble because I'm on a gaming podcast. But for me, it's not about the games, it's about the people.
We don't say the sentence the way that some podcasts do, but I would argue that we've sort of made the Cubist as much about that as possible too. That's why we like having guests.
That's why we game too.
So it's for me, it's seeing families come in and have parents thank me at the end of their visit and say it's the first time their teenagers have put down their phone in as long as they can remember. Or we have people bringing troubled kids, and I had one say to me like, "World's really hard sometimes, but this place makes it better." And I was like, just started crying. So like for me, it's a lot of like people in the nerd community don't have a place that's theirs. Like my husband and I opened the Castle because when we went to college, we're not anti-bar. I'll go to a bar once in a while, but most of the time I was like, I'm just here and it's loud and I can't hear the people I'm with and I don't get it. Like, it's not my space. Mm-hmm. So we have that with the Castle, and now with Levels, it'll be like people who are really into Overwatch. So Overwatch is probably one of the most popular video games right now, and they've started up.
Brandon's wearing an Overwatch shirt.
Nice. They started up like teams, and they're trying to make it like Bob Kraft owns the Boston Uprising team. Like, they're trying to make it like a sports league. So we want to show the Overwatch games, and so there's a place for you to go watch the game, which is your game. Like, we want people to feel welcome and like they have a home and they have a space. And the community we've gotten at the Castle and the things people have said to us about like that being their safe space and how welcome they feel, which, was like sort of our goal, but not in this big, like, overarching, like, we need to create a safe space for like these and like that's what happened just naturally, and it's been awesome. So we're just looking forward to doing it bigger, because Beverly is kind of off the beaten path. People don't, it's not very central. Whereas like the North Shore Mall is like the big mall in our area, and we're gonna
there is this entire segment of the video on their Indiegogo page. Please go watch it. I'm not kidding. Even if you like, look, here's the deal. I'm not going to guilt trip you viewers. I don't, I care, but I'm not saying this so that way to just drive money into Ryn's pocket. Okay. You need to go watch the video. There's this whole like 30-second segment of somebody, and I don't remember who it was, trying to describe how awesome the location for this place was and how many different highways it was near and how many towns they're easily accessible. And at one point, somebody else just says, you're literally just listing every town you can think of that's somewhere in this area. Is it actually that awesome, Ryn?
Because it's right, it's right off the highway. So like, people are like, oh, Beverly's confusing. Like, it's a little town. I don't know where to park. But like, no one's, for the most part, scared to go to a mall. Like, you drive to a mall and you park and you find an entrance and you figure it out. Like, it's way more accessible.
And that right there, that last sentence you just said is proof positive that malls are different on the East Coast than they are here. Because that is like, I'm actually not being sarcastic at all. The malls here are places to be actively avoided with one exception. Like, there's legit one mall in southeastern Wisconsin I can think of that anybody actually wants to go to that is like a normal mall. So it's sort of funny that you say it that way. But I love, I've seen, like I said, I watched the video. I saw you do kind of a quick, and I don't want to say a walkthrough, but you show enough stuff about the interior of the place that this place looks really rad.
Yeah, and it's a very different, so the Castle's kind of this homey, they've got these wooden tables and all this, whereas Levels is a much more modern, kind of cool feel. So
that super curved bar thing with the area above it looks really slick. Like, this is has a lot of floor appeal to it. Like, I just think that this is I am excited to come see this place when it opens.
Yeah, me too.
Like, you're gonna be like, I can't wait till it opens too. I'd like to not just spend money, please. That would be great. So, okay. So let's do one last thing. Let's say one of our viewers has been kicking around the idea of opening a place like this. Okay.
Yeah.
What would be the crucial pieces of advice you would offer them?
Usually I say don't.
But you had people say this was their safe space and make you cry tears of joy. Why would you tell people not to do that?
Okay, well, it depends why they want to do it. So I probably get 2 to 3 emails a month saying, I want to open a board game cafe. Tell me how to do it. The people who I think are going to do well are the people who are asking me very specific questions, like that show they've already mostly done a business plan, but just need to fill in some gaps. Which, by the way, like, anybody can email me. I love helping people get started. But it's the people who email me and say, can you send me your business plan? And I'm like, no, if you can't write a business plan, you cannot run a business. Let's start there. So, I mean, if you're going to do a board game cafe, you have to want to run a restaurant. You can't want to play games and help other people love games. Like, that's part of it. But if you're going to succeed, you have to want to run a restaurant.
We've talked on the show before about how I think one of the biggest issues that the game industry has, and it's getting better, but that I think one of the biggest industry issues currently going is that the actual Venn diagram of gamers and people that know how to run a business worth a damn, that overlap is super small, right? Like there's a lot of people, and it's getting bigger, but there are a lot of game stores that get opened by people that just want to sit around and have a space that they can play Magic with their buddies.
And that used to be okay because there was no one else doing anything better. So those are the stores that a lot of times, not always. I don't want to get myself in like a Tom Basil situation where
You're good.
I hate local game stores, but some of the game stores now that are suffering are the ones that weren't really trying and now they have to. Which isn't always the case because retail's super hard. We didn't do retail for a reason. But you have to really want to work a lot, and you have to be okay with not making a profit for yourself for a while because you have employees to pay and bills to pay. But if it's something you really want and are okay with that and are okay with working your butt off, and then you should absolutely do it because it's incredibly rewarding once you get there. But
you just have to go into it for the right reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, anybody can email me. I always answer emails about people asking about board game cafes. But I generally, the first email is usually a little harsh of like, well, do you never want to play games or see your friends again? Then go for it. Because if you can have someone say all that to you and you still want to do it, then it's probably fair that you go forward.
Well, it's fun. The way it's interesting to me because like, I mean, and this topic's come up a lot over the last week, Brandon. But like why you do a podcast is actually has a little bit, I mean, it's not nearly the workload. In no way am I trying to suggest that doing a podcast is anything like running your establishment or anything like it. But the reasoning is the same. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I agree that it's still a lot of work. I'm not.
Yeah. Well, it's not even that it's a lot of work. It's that you do this because you want to share something with people, right? Like you don't do this. We don't get to play games when we're spending our Monday night sitting on YouTube, right? Yeah. Like this is not play games time. This is talk and share our thoughts and experiences with other people to help spread what we already like time. And it's sort of the same thing, just on a much smaller and quite less profitable scale. One would hope. Anyway, I better be less profitable. Well. What?
Less costly as well. Far less costly.
For sure. Which is why I was pointing at Brandon before. So very cool. Well, I got to say, I'm excited. People, if you are watching, whether you're watching live or afterwards, if you go into the description, there is a link to the Indiegogo campaign, which is about a quarter of the way there. With
a quarter. If we don't hit our goal, we'll still be okay. We kind of aimed high just because why not? We do. I will say we do have like a gift basket for people who aren't close by because we know that that's an issue. We're like, oh, I'm gonna get a membership, but I'm in Wisconsin. That's dumb. So we do have like a gift basket that we'll mail to people that's got some cool stuff in it. But yeah, we're excited. It's just good to get the word out and. I think talking about it more gets me excited because it's like just work mode a lot of times. So
I'm going to tell you right now, this is ridiculous. But if I had 10 grand, I would be buying the eat and drink at Levels forever.
It's a good deal. Like, I mean, if you have that kind of money, it doesn't take that long to earn it.
No, it's literally
no one has that kind of money.
It's literally a $25 gift certificate every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, you could spend 25. I would be happy to have a Monday through Friday joint that I could go to and spend $25 every day and be completely happy. I was pointing that out because that is the topmost of the perks. And I think it's cool. I guess what I'm saying is that I think the perks that you have set in this Indiegogo are pretty rad. And some of the merch looks pretty neat. So I would encourage everybody to go check it out. There's your cheap shill. Exactly. Ryn, besides your Indiegogo, where else can people find out more about the stuff that you do?
So there's so much now. So I'll just, for Levels, you can just go to levelsma.com and then all the other links are off of that. And then the castle is thecastlebeverly.com. So it's probably easiest to just do those two sites. And then that has our Facebook and our Twitter and our Instagram all off of that.
Yep. Exactly. Okay. Patrick, You joined super last minute. Did you write 5 questions?
I did not, because she's been on the show before.
That's true. That's true. We only do rapid fire for first time guests. You're a good one. All right, Patrick, it sounds like your room is fairly quiet. You want to talk about your stuff?
Well, I can be found searching for lobster restaurants in Portland, Maine.
What?
Go to
You just trip over one and walk out the door?
Have you gone to Gelato Fiasco?
I just got here yesterday and worked all day.
You need to go to Gelato Fiasco before you leave.
Gelato Fiasco?
Gelato Fiasco.
I will put that on my list. Flip Flory told me about a pizza joint, and we went there for dinner. So
that's awesome.
Gelato
Flip
Fiasco.
has good taste.
We sell Gelato Fiasco at the castle, and they also catered my wedding. So like I'm very much a fan.
We'll do it. But anyway, otherwise you can find me on Twitter at OverTheHillier, and I do stuff over on What Did You Play This Week podcast.
Not this week, though.
Not this week.
No,
a bunch of jerks.
Bunch of jerks. Speaking of What Did You Play This Week, what? Brandon, this is your fault, Aquaman.
What's that? What
This
happened?
is your fault. The buck stops with you, buddy.
It does. Yeah, it's fine. We all deserved a week off after 226 episodes.
I suppose. I'm just glad you made it for episode 69.
Yeah.
Yay.
WDYPTW.com, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, very good.
And on the Twitters at WDYPTW.
And What Did You Play This Week is also, if I recall correctly, a proud member of Punchboard Media.
Where we
all bring something to the table.
I love that you guys tried to sync up and just amped it up even worse. That's terrible.
I was going to say we all bring stuff to the table.
That was rough. That was
That was
rough.
the highlight of this whole thing for me. That moment there.
69 episodes, and we still can't deliver a tagline worth a damn. What the hell is wrong with us? All right. TheCubistPodcast.com is where you can find most of this stuff. However, I love driving people to TheCubistPodcast.com, but it is getting more. I have just finished, well, actually tomorrow I will finish the last part of the live streaming rig. So the Cubist will start doing live streamed games probably at least once a week at this point if I'm investing in it. So you're going to want to subscribe to the Cubist here on YouTube where you are watching it probably right now, and hit the little bell button. I'm going to be doing at least one a week. I'm going to put up a poll on what nights and times everybody is most interested in hearing based on my availability. Patrick just said, "Ep it, I'm out of here." Bye, Patrick. Oh, he said, "I got to get back to work." Oh, we took him out of work?
Yeah, he's supposed to be working.
Now I have guilt.
He's supposed to be, architecting a building or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever. Architects are a bunch of punks anyway. That's fine. He's not on. He can't hear me anymore. And I know for a fact he doesn't go back and watch the shows afterwards. So we can say whatever we want right now. But seriously, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the little bell button. I'm going to be putting up a community post. I don't know if I'm going to actually put it up on YouTube because we don't have enough subscribers yet. Tell all your friends. As soon as we get a certain level of subscribers, it unlocks more features on the YouTube channel that I can use to do more stuff like improve the chat room and things like that. They just don't unlock those features for people with low subscriber counts. So spread the word. That's the most important thing we can get done right now. So anyway, thank you so much, Ryn. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure having you back.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We wish you all the best on levels. And I'm telling you right now, there's a road trip in me to come out there, even if I don't end up relocating. You think I'm kidding?
Oh, I'm just thinking you're going to come out here and I'm going to just slash all your tires so you don't have to go home. Is that too?
Nice. Good. Well, this will go well.
Here now.
Oh, boy. Well, welcome to your new home. By the way, I will pay you $4 an hour. There you go. Perfect. All right. No,
you get to clean off the controllers when they.
I'm gonna be the guy that just hand me a little squeegee. This is for the nacho cheese. This is for the Cheeto dust. Oh boy. All right. Anyway, Ryn, you're the bomb. Thanks so much for having us, everybody. Thank you, live chat. You guys are amazing. Yes, I agree. The chat is awesome. It gets more awesome. There are more features that we can unlock, including super chat and all kinds of other fun stuff. It's a long story. Yes, there is a thing called Super Chat on YouTube. Lots of other fun features, including a community tab, etc. But we can't unlock those till we have lots more subscribers. I want to say 1,000 is the ideal where we unlock all the things, but it's even lower than that for other stuff. So anyway, chat room, you're the bomb. Tell your friends how much fun we have here. Thank you for being with me for episode 69. Very excited that nobody got naked. Everybody have a fantastic week gaming. We'll see you all next time. I'm sorry.